Ladies and gentlemen, we are transmitting live on this Saturday evening emergency transmission on Facebook and on YouTube. Tomorrow, I'll have a syndicated radio show that we also simulcast on TV stations and other systems around the country from 4 to 6 p.m. with huge breaking news on a new White House shakeup that's coming. This is directly from inside the White House. We're going to have Mr. Caputo, former Trump advisor, and Roger Stone on the broadcast tomorrow to talk about that 4 to 6 p.m. with so much more. I almost came in today to an emergency transmission just on that, but I decided to wait till tomorrow because, again, this isn't going to leak to another news agency before we get it on air. And quite frankly, White House shakeups are important to know the direction of the administration and hence much of the world, but it pales in significance to the news I'm about to cover right now for everybody watching on Facebook and on YouTube. North Korea has ICBMs now, as everyone knows, intercontinental ballistic missiles. The Clintons, the globalists, the communist Chinese helped enable them to do this. The Pentagon has been advising Trump that he's got less than 6 months to strike these sites because Kim Jong-un has said, reportedly in internal North Korean commands that U.S. and South Korean spies have picked up chatter on, that they are actually planning a preemptive strike on Seoul, South Korea, or on Tokyo, Japan, or on the west coast of the U.S. Since we got that intel, Kim Jong-un has come out today in the official mouthpiece of the People's Democratic Republic of North Korea. What a joke. The hermit dictatorship, the hereditary royal dictatorship of these degenerate individuals. Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il, and of course his father, the first dictator, another communist rat who's literally killed millions of his own people. North Korea, this is out of the Hill, it's up on Infowars.com. North Korea preparing preemptive attacks with nuclear force. You go, wait a minute. If they're threatening nuclear sneak attacks on the U.S., South Korea, and Japan, how is it a sneak attack if they're threatening it? Exactly. It is just crazy. They're saying we just may go ahead and destroy the whole U.S. We may just go ahead at any time and blow up Tokyo or Seoul, South Korea. In fact, at the UN a few months ago, their ambassador said, we may just go ahead and preemptively destroy you all. That's like pointing a gun at somebody and saying, I may just go ahead and kill everybody in your country. Now, they don't have the capability to do that, but they do have the capability to draw Russia and China into the situation. And again, you've had leftists, globalists, and others that have been admittedly with this strategy of patience, as they call it, really a strategy of tension is what they want, propping up North Korea. So this is really coming to a head. And the Commandant of the Marine Corps has given speeches saying we're going to war right now as we speak. They've had top analysts who've been in private speeches by the CIA Director Pompeo that said that Trump will strike North Korea in the next 12 weeks. We now know that news is a month old. We just learned it this week. We now see the writing on the wall. We see the statements being made and the preparations being made. I don't want a war with North Korea. The difference is I was against a war with Iraq both times. I was against the Arab Spring that Obama and Hillary funded that was really just a jihad takeover by radical Muslims against moderate Muslims, Christians, and others. I've been against all these wars, the ones that have been proxied, the ones that have been stirred up. Doesn't mean I like Saddam Hussein, doesn't mean I like, but he wasn't starting wars with us. He was told go ahead and invade Kuwait. He'd been told go ahead and attack Iran when he was a U.S. ally during the Iran-Iraq war. With North Korea, it's different. And if you go through the whole history of it, since 1953, when they had the armistice, the ceasefire, fancy name for ceasefire, the armistice, but the war's still on, Communist China has used it as a proxy to take control of the region and to use it as a foil or a gambit or a pawn in a larger strategy. And they admit that. And globalists like Michael Moore, Hillary, and others said, Trump's going to have a big international crisis a few months into office. And they admitted it was North Korea. And as soon as he got in, all hell broke loose. Because before, the globalists gave North Korea reactors. They gave them missile secrets. They let him get away with everything. And now they wound him up to make Trump look bad, thinking Trump would back down. Trump is not backing down. And I'm not saying Trump's wrong. I understand why Trump's doing this. He's trying to break the back of the globalists. He's trying to say no. The North has hydrogen bombs, atomic bombs, delivery systems. They've got a gun pointed at us, and at their neighbors saying, we'll pull the trigger. Somebody points a gun at you and says, I think I could just kill you any minute. Well, you got a right to. I mean, that's they're pointing at you. They're saying we may attack you. Okay? They're saying we may hit you first. In fact, we'll just destroy all of you. In New York, their ambassador, speaking for Kim Jong-un, he's too cowardly to come here, just said a month and a half ago, we will destroy the whole U.S. So now North Korea promised on Saturday to continue preparing preemptive attacks with nuclear force. And then it goes on, AP reports, do not expect any change in this policy, which they're now announcing. They were just denying this 6 months ago. The state's official media arm, the Korean Central News Agency, said Saturday, its entity as an invincible power, talk about a narcissist mental patient, Kim Jong-un, can neither be undermined nor be stamped out. They went on to say they rule the world, they're invincible and godlike, but their own people don't have electricity in 95% of the country. No toilet paper, no nothing. They can't produce cars, nothing. They just produce little hereditary goblins that waddle around. Everyone goes, oh, oh. And this is what the left always wants us to have, is some communist dream. It's incredible. KCNA said North Korea has been working towards bolstering the capabilities for self-defense and preemptive attacks with nuclear force in response to ongoing nuclear threat and blackmail and war drills. North Korea has tested missiles 16 times and threatened the use of hydrogen bomb small enough to fit onto a missile. And it goes on to say they're invincible and they're God and all the rest of it. This has all been escalated by North Korea. Trump even said, 6 months ago, hey, let's make a deal. Let's come to the table. Because the North is bolstered by communist China. They're being bolstered by Russia to a certain extent. Some evidence points that was Russia giving oil over via the tankers to the North Korean tankers. Russia's position is we should all come to the table and stop this. Well, Russia, Trump already said that 6 months ago. And I know Russia has its own contingencies for North Korea and has moved missiles up just last week, high-powered anti-aircraft missiles that can't hit any of our jets, our fastest jets. Of course, we have missiles that can take them out too, but that rapidly escalates into a wider war. The bigger picture is the globalists triggered their little hermit state time bomb to, again, create a global crisis to embarrass Trump and embarrass America, and Trump isn't backing down to it right now. But remember, who started this? Who invaded Korea in 1950? The Communist Chinese, millions of them. Who do we have to go in and defend? The South Koreans. What country is the richest in the world per capita now? South Korea. Who produces the most wealth? South Korea. Who has the highest income per capita? South Korea. That's what the United States helped set up in previous incarnations. To the north, they literally don't have toilet paper. So this is what communism creates. And it just figures that as we go into 2018, at the end of 2017, when 2017 is very long in the beard here and very long in the tooth, that it is another inbred, obese, weak little coward who can hardly walk, who was given hereditary power, who viciously executes his own family, and where they have eugenics, where if you come from poor families, you're seen as subhuman under the communist system there, and no criticism by the left. It's just unbelievably evil. So we've got that going on. Meanwhile, speaking of Russia, the narrative has so collapsed, and all these different high-level FBI agents and Justice Department officials have been caught in emails saying, we're faking this, it's a fraud, and paying money to their wives at Fusion GPS to put out false dossiers, that even The Nation, an establishment liberal publication, but in the past more classical liberal, where a lot of the positions they took, you could say, were moral and had some reasonable teeth to them. That was back when I didn't like Republicans or Democrats. I mean, I like some of the ideas of Republicans as well. They just weren't implementing them. Well, The Nation has, I guess, found its soul to a certain extent, and has come out and said Russiagate is devolving into an effort to stigmatize dissent. An excellent article by James Carden. It has top professors around the world, liberals, saying this is a total witch hunt, totally made up. They're targeting anybody that disagrees. They're suing the president and Roger Stone, Obama's lawyers are, for disagreeing with them. This is beyond McCarthyism. It's the top story on The Nation. It's the most readers the last week. Russiagate is devolving into an effort to stigmatize dissent. You really got to go read this if you're one of the snickering people or bots, they're on Twitter making jokes about this, or, oh, yeah, right, sure, you Ruski. Because I have people walk up to me in restaurants on the streets and go, F you, Russian, you're going to prison. And I'll be sitting there, I'm going, you really think I'm a Russian agent? And they'll go, yeah, you're going to jail. And then I start getting back in their face. They go, whoa, leave me alone. It's like it's all a simulation to them. Like, I'm a real person, okay? I want lower taxes, a better stock market, more jobs. I want a better country, and we're delivering it. Free market's what works. Problem is it creates a bunch of spoiled people. The U.S. uses more drugs, parties more than anybody in the world because we used to have more freedom and more wealth. Didn't mean we were perfect, and I'm not saying you're bad because you party, but damn it, admit we become a lot of decadent slobs in many cases here, myself included. But, I mean, we're the most obese, you name it. I mean, everybody's fat and partying and kind of laying around. Even if you're just an average worker, you got enough money to do a lot of extra stuff. All the entertainment, all the choices, and you don't have any choices for a cell phone in North Korea. Almost no one's got cell phones in Venezuela. Venezuela had more wealth than the United States in 1950 per person. Argentina had more than that. Argentina and Venezuela had more money per capita than the U.S. did. And then what happened? Socialism came in. And now look at them. They are totally collapsed. Venezuela is a hellhole. Europe is falling apart. Socialism only works till you run out of other people's money and you de-incentivize working and producing. If everything I do gets taken, why the hell should I go work extra? The only defense against being robbed is having nothing. And now you see hundreds of companies announcing extra bonuses, announcing hiring, announcing pay increases because they can move back here now. And what did China announce this week? They go, you know what? We're going to zero tax, period. Zero corporate, zero individual, zero tax to counter Trump. That was in the London Guardian. And the Guardian was like giggling, going, good, bring down America because they're liberal globalists. Yeah, good job, China. That'll teach them. Because they all cheer on China. They go, oh, we'll stop Trump and nationalism and leaving the euro. China and the Chinese dictator came to Davos this year, and said, I will prop it up. I will save your New World Order. And what did China announce? Maybe we don't have a laptop. We can pull it up over here. China announced zero taxes, but you got to go to the Politburo, you got to go to the Central Committee, you got to go to the Communist Party, and they give you a licensure, just like King George III would do. Where to even do business, you got to have that license. And now, if you go to them and promise to keep the money in China and to physically move there as executives to China, zero tax in perpetuity. Now, let me show people. Now, China unveils plan to combat Trump tax reform. We'll have tough battles. Yeah, that's zero hedge. But if you pull it up, it's London Guardian, and it's zero tax. It was a China announces zero taxes to counter Trump. Zero, zero, zero. How do the communists, where you're supposed to pay 100% taxes, but every time the elites are exempt? Zero. They said, you know what? No corporate tax. No individual income tax, nothing. That's their counter to America. Nothing. We had a 38.9, China had a 15. Trump lowers it to 15 for one area, 20 for another. Just to be fair, China goes, you know what? We know you're going to try to drop it to zero next, Trump. We're going total zero. Everything zero. Counter that. No taxes. Talk about espionage. Of course, our government leaders and of course, all the corporations have moved to China because they already had those deals set up. They just announced it. In China, with no judge, no jury, they come grab you, take you, and keep you in a jail cell till someone with your same blood type wants you, and they kill you and take your organs in a mobile van to the airport. They fly it out, and they put the organs in you in Japan. That's mainstream news. That's liberal. Apple factories with suicide nets and forced abortions and total enslavement. But it's liberal, so it's good. Because Apple funds Black Lives Matter, virtue signaling about something that doesn't even exist. A couple hundred blacks get killed by cops a year. Let's say all of it's illegitimate. What's it compared to the hundreds of thousands of blacks killed by each other every year that nobody wants to talk about? See how that works? Oh, Apple and Facebook and Twitter and Microsoft all give hundreds of millions of dollars to Black Lives Matter and groups that just go, we love black people, we're liberal. Meanwhile, they own slave factories, suicide nets around them, total enslavement, totally tax-free, just ruling everything. Just Jeff Bezos gets the shipping paid for with deals he got Obama to do where he doesn't pay for the shipping. It's $1.48 extra money on top of every shipment. Trump's in the news today. They won't even tell you the details. They just go, in Trump's battle with Bezos, he says that Amazon doesn't pay enough. No, they got special deals that nobody else gets, worth billions a year. And then it goes, oh, but they're losing $8 billion a year on top of the hundreds of billions they make because they're even losing on that, even with the subsidy. Exactly, so no one else can compete. Amazon takes a loss and gets $1.48 off every damn package so that no one else can compete, so that all the other stores and all the other outfits implode. But they do it unfairly, just like China. It isn't communism. It's a neo-feudalistic serfdom, a fascism. And they use communist states to enslave the people. They live in communism. But the elites above them are tax exempt and live in giant palaces. They've got Chinese general palaces that they keep closed off to the public, and that Google even blurs out, but some photos have gone out that are bigger than the biggest houses in the U.S. Some of these generals have 100,000 square foot houses. 100,000 square foot houses with huge walls all around them. They have their own organic greenhouses per home, and they're even building bubbles above them, canopies, the first bubble cities, so the elites don't have to breathe all the smog. This has all come out in the news. Just like North Korea, the guy's obese and fat, and everybody else is starving around him, and he loves it. He does it on purpose. So our globalists here have allied with China to deindustrialize us. They've armed North Korea as a trigger to menace the U.S., Japan, South Korea, so the globalists can work from behind the scenes and manipulate the freer world and then make them buy weapons on this side to counter the threat they've actually created. That's playing both sides like the Rothschilds would famously do. They said, I don't care who wins the war as long as we finance both sides. So we've got all this going on. What's Russia's crime? Russia has pulled out of the globalist system, kicked the oligarchs out or arrested them, and is building a sustainable system actually for the population to grow families and have a program that's good for commerce and good for the public. Russia has lower taxes than we do, and they've pulled away from the globalist. The Chinese haven't. The Chinese communists are the heart of the New World Order engine, the brain trust. They've bought up Hollywood. They've got everything. And Trump is standing up against communist China right now when he exposes what they've done with North Korea, when he exposes how they've got one-sided deals. And so China has now announced a moratorium on all corporate taxes. And again, I'm going to explain this. What's his name? The stupid, the guy that gave the win to Hillary when he Bernie Sanders. White people don't know what it's like to be poor. My wife might swindle universities and implode them, and I got 6 houses and $100,000 car and bodyguards and millions in the bank. But America sucks, okay? Rich people, they not going to pay taxes under Trump. And, yeah, there's some big middle class and poor people cuts, and okay, that might be good, but most of the money goes to big corporations, all right? He lowered it to 15. What I'm not going to tell you is China has 15, so all our jobs are over there, and then they move the money to Ireland that has 0, and they pay none. So all Trump's doing... I took some truth serum. I'm Bernie Sanders on truth serum. Is trying to induce it so they come back here so we get some of the tax money and then the $4 trillion, and then they have the factories based here for jobs for Americans. And we don't do that from the leftist globalist thing from universities. I never had a real job in my life. Didn't even get a paycheck till I was 40. We go to universities, we prey on the underclass, we bring them in and give them worthless degrees, we pump and dump everything, and then we side with the big Goldman Sachs banks to make sure that free market doesn't look so good, so you go with us and then we can vertically integrate the economy and make sure you're all poor renters. And that's what we did in the Bolshevik revolution. God, it was great. We get to kill a lot of Christians. It's a lot of fun. A lot of good liberals from New York. Traveled from Connecticut, where I'm from, Vermont. Traveled to Russia to take over and get some blood on our feet. You know, we hate flyover country, and we hate Christians, and we're finally going to get them. Hey, Bernie Sanders. My little fake like I'm Einstein. I'm so cool. Bow to me. I'm an academic. Roll over and piss all over yourselves like a dog. Anyways, I'm not going to ever criticize communist China and 80 million people they've killed, they admit, all the slave factories. Oh, Venezuela's great, Cuba's great, only America and white people and Christians and gun owners, it's bad. It's a bad place. Okay, so that was more truth serum for Bernie Sanders. Need another shot here. Bernie Sanders truth serum. Here we go. Here we go. If you really want me to tell the truth, it's about cultural domination and control. The U.S. is powerful. If we can get control of it, we can do whatever we want. But if people have freedom, they can go in any direction they want. So we got to get them in this big re-education camp that's education so we can swindle them like my big old fat ugly wife, suck the blood out of everything. So that's what we're going to do. And if Trump's able to bring back prosperity, we already try to cover up all the communist hellholes and how it doesn't work for anybody but us. And if they figure out and have prosperity, it's over for me. Over for Bernie Sanders. Sorry. Let me stop right now. Now let me get into, I don't really think about these characters. I don't know how good they are. How about Sink Uger of the Young Turds? Hey, you know, that's more of a Rodney Dangerfield. Let me see. Hold on. It's a reasonable discussion here. Hey, how you doing? Y'all wrote in the publications that women are genetically inferior. I'm a Muslim from Turkey. Women are dogs and animals. Look at those young slut 15-year-olds, good hookers in training. I'm a big old fat, slobby, greasy person. Women are scum. You know, Morocco knows how to do it when they just raid Spain and grab the women, throw them on the boats and take them back home. Hey, don't you fat shame me. Don't you fat shame me, but my sidekick called Alex Jones big fucking ugly fat ass. Yeah, I'm an intellectual. I hate the women. Stupid, they don't like me. They don't like big fat ugly toads. Why you running from me? We're put a book on your head. So there. Who else should I do here? Huh? Reasonable discussion. We're trying to have a fucking reasonable discussion here. Let me spit some tea on you. Bullshit. Meanwhile, the media acted like I just hijacked the Young Turks, like I just ran in and jumped on it. It was all crammed in at the RNC. Did you guys go? I don't remember. No. But it's a parking garage. They put tarps up on with air conditioners. And so you're just walking around like, hey, come on. You could be there all day in Media Row. Everybody wanted us on. And then we walked by and they had an entourage. And of course, they were the Google table, the YouTube table. So they had like a little end cap area. And they go, hey, Alex, hey, come over here. But wasn't seeing, it was one of the other little rat guys. Hey, you want to come on later? Because I've been on the show a bunch. Big deal. And so I come back later and then I see them and they're there during break. So I just jump up as a joke. Okay. And then he sees Roger Stone. He goes, you're a piece of crap. He goes, you're not coming on my show. And Roger goes, I don't want to go on your show. And then he goes, F you. And then they told everybody Roger rushed up on the stage. No, he didn't. And then they played like, well, he was in our studio. People went, well, we didn't see Roger. Because, well, he got through security and he got up on the stage. Now, you're walking around in Media Row. You get in with the tags. I had the red badges they didn't even have. They got all mad about that where I could go like anywhere I wanted behind everything, you know. Like that was the highest little badge you could get. They all had like green ones or whatever. And so here I am. They acted like I crashed it. I was suddenly in the media. Meanwhile, but just to show they're lying, because you can go back to the etymology of this, and you can see how, again, they say Roger got into the studio. Like, meanwhile, if you turn the cameras around or see other people's video cameras, our cameras, it's just walls of people. You know, just masses of just huge, it's like a convention. It's a convention center, but it's in a 3-story parking garage of just nothing. But you could barely walk between all the radio and TV stuff going on. And I'd be on other shows, and people go, "Hey, Alex," and they photobomb. Yeah, people go, "Oh, screw you, Ray, we love you." I mean, it was just wild in there. I could do 100 interviews a day if I wanted to. It was too exhausting. And so, again, that just shows everything with them is a hoax, everything with them is a fraud, everything with them is a scam. And because Leanne's walking along me, she goes, "Hey, they're waving you over," and I'm like, "Okay, we had to go on some XM show. Yeah, we'll come back." So I'd been on their show probably 10 times over the years, and I didn't like them. They didn't like me, but I thought, have some fun, jump up on stage with them. But they acted like I was trying to have this moment that suddenly I would be somebody if I got on that show with them. Let me tell you who I want to get back on with. I have never gotten as big a response as I got on Joe Rogan's podcast. I've been on 2020, Hard Copy, Extra, Howard Stern, The View, CNN, Fox News, Geraldo Rivera. I mean, you name it, I've been on it. PBS, 60 Minutes, you name it. I've been profiled, Megyn Kelly, all of it. I get hit every day by cool people, Hispanic, Black, Asian, young, but just really cool people, the young, hip people. Joe Rogan, man, I want to get back on there. And Joe did, call me back in like August. And I halfway wondered it was a butt dial. So I was driving through P. Terry's. He calls me. And he goes, "Oh, yeah, great, blah, blah. Hey, Jay, did you see the Super Deluxe video?" "Yeah." And I said, "Hey, I want to come back on." He goes, "Oh, yeah, I want you back on. My new studio opens." And then I kind of talked to him later. He's like, "Well, yeah, maybe a little later. I'm not going to bug him about it." But, they did delist that #1 podcast in history off iTunes. He admitted that. There were some, things said and some things done. And it just shows you when something's #1, that's when it gets censored. Because we have a big show, and it's on over 200 radio stations, and every day it's huge. But I can tell you right now, without a doubt, Joe Rogan's podcast, that was the biggest he ever did. He admits that on all platforms. Something like 37 million people last time we checked. It's just to then experience that it was a total success, out of the park, huge hit. But there's whatever, or maybe it's not that Joe was pressured to not have me back on. Maybe it's just that he's sick of hearing me out about, because every guest he gets on there, because, I watch it when I'm on doing the treadmill or whatever. My son likes it as well. And, it's like Billy Corgan's going, "Is this the chair Alex Jones sat in?" And Joe didn't even take the bait. He just goes, so I think that's it. But Joe's coming to town in January. He always does call me and say, "Hey, I got some tickets for you," and we usually get dinner or something. But I mean, I guess I am a Joe Rogan stalker here, because not only has he been my friend for 18 years, I've known him since like 1998, 1999. I went and saw one of his shows in 98, got to know him good in 99. And so I'll just have to be like that old, Fatal Attraction, not literally with a butcher knife coming through the door or anything, but I'm gonna be like out front, Joe, and I'll have to have bodyguards, so I'll just come running towards him, trying to hug him. It's a joke. Anyways, that's what's going on. So having some fun here, ladies and gentlemen. This is our new podcast studio. We're going to put in all the fancy spancy cameras. We're going to put in a really cool deal over here, like it's a cave looking into the control room. We've built the new giant Death Star base. Have you guys seen that? Have people seen our new mega studio that looks like a piece of first order hardware? Don't you guys agree? What do you think, Marcos Morales?
Out of this world. If we could just get in there and put it together. Just get it.
Yeah, because the main big studio, the studio's built, but now controlling it. Marcos, here, turn the cameras around on Marcos. Marcos, come over here. Marcos, tell folks about the studio. Marcos. Not this one. This is the podcast studio.
Marcos Morales. I didn't shave for this. Sorry, guys. New year. You might actually see my face a little more. I was just talking to Darren about some things I wanted to get on camera about.
That's what we want everybody to do in the podcast room.
This is going to be great for that. This is like a conversational. The lighting is dim enough that it just feels comfortable in here.
We're going to put a big bar back here.
That's just for me, though. Bar back there for me. Yeah, I can imagine a lot of conversations opening up in this room alone. Just, it's nice, comfortable atmosphere. Not at all like the Death Star machine we have in the other side of the complex over here.
Yeah, the folks that built Fox News Studios, they said it is the up-to-line hottest thing there is. Only like Disney's putting in this type of stuff.
Everything is a screen. Everything is a screen. Everything is programmable. We're gonna fill it all with graphics, including the desk. We're working really hard to bring you guys a really cool show. because we want to engage you guys. We want you guys to pay attention because there's a lot of good information here that you need to pay attention to arm yourself
Like how we're gonna
in the
start
new
stalking
year.
Joe Rogan.
Like, yeah, I'm a big Joe Rogan stalker, actually. I've listened to all the episodes. Joe Rogan, have me on.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get McBrain in there.
Come on, McBrain.
Oh, it's
Come on,
my turn.
McBrain.
I'm gonna sit in the chair.
I didn't even plan all this. The video starts out about nuclear war. Big deal.
You just never know what we're gonna talk about. Hey, when last time Marcos and I were on live together, because we don't get a chance to work together with John Bound a lot. But we're the class of 2011, Alex. We've been here since almost 7 years now. And this was the room. This used to be the original studio that Alex ran the radio show from. For how many years?
Yeah, about 8, 9 years. I was
8 or 9 years.
Face this way.
Okay, all right. Got you.
No, I mean,
But-
the old days, I was looking out that way.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, exactly. And so he did that for many, many years. So, man, we've come a long way since then. And this new studio, I call it the NFL Fox Sunday studio because we're going to we're going to stand up. So no more, I mean, the full suits, ties, everything. We have to have nice shoes, everything. A lot of times we'll be standing up. But it is a huge studio, and it should be up running within the first couple of months of the year. So I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, we can project just anything we want. It has that high-tech LED.
Yeah, and we're competing with the mainstream news media, and the more professional we look, the more people take us serious. So we take it very serious,
It also totally freaks them out.
and it freaks out our competition. So it's a beautiful thing. So
And again, we're not competing against other liberty media. We're competing against the globalists and the authoritarians.
no, exactly. We want this is a joint venture. Basically, all independent media is taking over. The mainstream media is dying big time, and a lot of people don't trust the mainstream media anymore. Unfortunately, a lot of people do trust late night comedy. I bring it up all the time. I don't get it, but that's where
the main propaganda.
yeah, because they could show news clips on late night comedy like Colbert does it, Jimmy Kimmel does it, John Oliver, SNL even does it. They'll show real news clips, but then they'll commentate on it and ridicule and make fun of Trump is, of course, their biggest thing. And now with this whole Russian investigation, you have an anti-Trump posse, is what I call them. They're anti-Trumpers. These guys are out to get the president of the United States.
Lynch mob.
It is a lynch mob, and it always has been. It was a lynch mob before Trump even became president. And this whole P-gate, this Russian dossier, is what started it all with Hillary Clinton. And even now we're learning the FBI as well paid millions of dollars to Christopher Steele, who was former intelligence for England, and it was basically them and Fusion GPS. They paid millions of dollars for a fake dossier.
And they now admit it's fake.
Now they admit it's fake, but remember, it was that dossier that started the whole Russian probe, and that's where they got the FISA warrant to wiretap Donald Trump.
And now they've got all the. What do you make of even The Nation coming out now? Liberal publications.
That is, it's huge. It's very significant because we were talking about The Nation is a liberal news outlet. They're being forced to become, a lot of these liberal publications, just to stay legitimate, they're going to have to start telling the truth, and you can't back away from this. But I am concerned about Jeff Sessions and just this stalemate, just not doing anything.
I think they got him in a KKK outfit.
Either that or he's quietly behind the scenes putting a case together. But when he recuses himself, as far as I'm concerned, we have an attorney general that's sitting on his ass.
He himself to Rosenstein, who was involved in Uranium One.
That's exactly right. So maybe we need another attorney general, someone who's going to actually go to work and do something about it, because lock her up was not just something we chanted for the hell of it. I mean, we meant that. That was something we want Trump to do, and there is no justice, and there's nobody feels there's justice in America until she's behind bars.
Absolutely.
That's it. So anyway, I'm going to give up my seat. Jones coming back.
All right, great.
trade you out.
Good job, buddy. And again, the crew just comes in so I can do these things on the weekend. We've got all our big professional shows, weekdays, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. We now are 10 hours a day live on radio, syndicated radio, and then we also do TV via the internet, but some cable and VHF and UHF stations, over 30 of them now, some of them big like Houston. are picking us up. So we're going to focus on more content, more shows, the new studios, a lot of big stuff in 2018. Folks saw a big expansion in 2017. You're going to see massive expansion thanks to all your support. I saw one commenter going, yeah, this is clickbait. Nothing about North Korea. Let me explain. They may say on a promo, tonight on the Nightly News, we're going to talk about a shipwreck. And then they start the news with a shipwreck, and then they move on to other things in that program. We spent 10 minutes at the front about North Korea, but I'm glad you mentioned it because it really is the big issue. North Korea, being dumbass communists they are, given everything by the West, has threatened a sneak attack with nuclear weapons on the U.S. Yes, they threatened a sneak attack. AP reports, The Hill reports, North Korea announces they're preparing a preemptive, that means first strike, sneak attack, like Pearl Harbor, but with nukes, attacks with nuclear force. And then it goes into all of it. That's what I opened the broadcast up. I've got mixed feelings about the situation with Iran. They've done internal polls in Iran and seen studies. Iran is a very young population. Most population is below 35. They've exploded. And most Persians, most Iranians, do not want to be under the mullahs. Very, very strict Shiite rule. The whole Shiite thing is a hereditary form of Islam, those related to the Prophet Muhammad. And it's about 19% of Islam, but Iran's its main base. And I'm not an enemy of Iran. I'm not an enemy of the mullahs. I don't want to just I don't have a war with them. But since 1979, they've taken over and they've really oppressed the population. And they execute people that speak out. A lot of brave people are protesting right now because they don't have real elections in Iran. The mullahs decide who can run. And then the mullahs then have a collection of people that you're allowed to supposedly then vote on. So I don't want a war with Iran. But at the same time, the media, liberal media, is acting like Trump is trying to overthrow Iran right now. Iran's trying to get a nuclear weapon. They've been threatening their neighbors. And now Trump says and warns Iran the world is watching after anti-government protests across the country. U.S. State Department hints at Iran overthrow. Are we witnessing the early stages of a regime change? We'll see if that is an attempt to take place. I'd love to see Iran reformed. The problem is when our government, the last 40 years or so, takes a country over, they put something worse in. So, again, I don't like regime change at all, but will it be any different under Trump? Because the globalists have been putting bad people in under regime change. We'll see. Street protests hit Iran for third straight day as pro-government rallies held to counter it. That is just some of the news on that front. But on the whole North Korea situation, again, you can't help but absolutely be concerned about it and then see how horrible Kim Jong-un is, a hereditary communist dictator. It's not like he's 8 feet tall and the ruler that took over himself. That'd be bad enough. He's a horrible little demon who's fat. And they even have people defect that are officers, and they've got big foot-long tapeworms and are starving to death. And meanwhile, they have more land mass than the South, and they're the poorest country on the world. And the South is per capita for technology and investment and education. You can argue, is it Switzerland? Is it for any major country, it's in the top three, probably number one. It's the most connected country in the world. Super high IQs. You can't say, oh, the North Koreans, average don't have high IQs. It's whether no, it's that they're run by communism, and communism is a nightmare. They're driving 1950s, Russian cars there. If you see just most of the military is on foot. I mean, it's literally entering the Stone Age. And I don't like the sanctions because it only hurts the poor people more. But they're already so poor, they really can't sink anymore. So now the North's threatening to nuke everybody, and the globalists gave them the weapons to create global crises that they want to have control of. And under Trump, he's trying to stabilize things and have fair, equal trade, just like you see in the U.S. Who can argue that Trump has not delivered on what he said he would do? I mean, the leftist media even has to admit the average family got a $13,000 tax cut this year. And then the average company has already announced massive increases and bigger bonuses and trillions in new investment because they made it prohibited. How did we go from the number one economic superpower and industrial superpower and high-tech superpower in the world to now technically our GDP second in the world down to China, but when it comes to technology, we're like fifth. We have been sabotaged. The globalists admit it. So again, I want to explain time-space continuum to new viewers, probably leftist or whatever, that are saying, I tuned in, he's not talking about China and North Korea and North Korea's threat for a secret strike, which I know is an oxymoron, but that's what they said in their own official government propaganda organ. In the time-space continuum, I'm talking about many things in this continuum, but that's all people can do to try to say I'm not being honest about something is play semantical games. And I'm not harping on one troll. I'm harping because I see that continued theme where people don't want to listen to what I'm saying. They want to score some type of bizarre coup. They want to count coup and act like something I'm saying is not true by creating a little false debate or false discussion. I mean, it's incredible. That's what mainstream media does too. They just distort reality to see who they can con, to see who they can manipulate. But here we are. Told you no proof of the Russian collusion. They've accused me of it. They've accused Rand Paul, Senator Paul. They've accused Tucker Carlson. And it's all a fraud. I told you that these polls are a fraud and that Trump was really 15 points ahead. And he was. It's now come out that Judge Roy Moore did have the election stolen from him and won by 5 points. They've done spot recounts where you got a certain percentage, what in counties, 36%, vote straight ticket for Roy Moore. And then the others vote split ticket. And then the Democrats vote and then vote split ticket. And you add it up. And in those counties and precincts, Moore got less than people admittedly voted straight ticket in the machine. I mean, remember he was going to lose by 15 points? Then he lost by half a point? That's how they're going to try to steal the 2018 midterms. They are going to throw every damn fraud they've got at everybody. They threw tens of millions of dollars, total media propaganda, all the disinfo, the fake yearbooks. And I'm not saying Moore's a saint. I didn't see any evidence of the things they were saying, but who knows? There's so many perverts in politics. They're in both parties. But the election fraud is what matters. And we have, via Project Veritas and our own research, countless videos of Democrats admitting election fraud. And now they brought people in from outside Alabama to vote in the names of dead people, and they brag on TV they did it. I came in from California to vote. F him. They're proud of their fraud. They talk about illegal aliens voting around the country in the names of dead people that are still in the voter rolls. And Trump said it was 3.5 million voted. Harvard study shows it could have been 7+ million. The point is, it doesn't matter. It's people voting in the names of dead people. And it's going on. The Democrats are organizing it. It's their fraud. And they work for the globalist and the Republican establishment that want to continue the vertical integration, the psychotic control, the systems of making everybody poor. And I want to ask viewers again, because some of these videos get millions of views. Some only end up getting a couple 100,000, which is still great. It's when you get excited and when you spread the live link to, hey, Alex is breaking down important stuff right now, that it goes viral, that it reaches more people. And sure, The Daily Show reaches millions of people, but it's these special broadcasts where I just come in here and talk to you guys that I think are the most important. I'm going to do more and more of these where I'm going to have kind of like our own private Reddit I want to set up. Or maybe I think we even have a Reddit. I don't ever even use it, but where you can ask me questions while we're in here. I'm going to get where I take calls in here as well. And I think I'm going to set up a little studio at my house as well. A lot of times I'll just go live at midnight if I feel like talking because it's just all about covering the news, all about covering the facts, and all about realizing that if you really look at what Trump has said and done, he's delivered. And everything he does is a business person's common sense of looking out for you. Oh, here's a big one I want to hit, then I'm going to end this transmission. In the tax bill that gives the average family $13,000 back of their own money, and that will now allow corporations like Apple to bring back $4 trillion they claimed they would if Trump cut the taxes to 15%. Now China just says, oh, we're going to go to zero to counter that. Showing we had prohibitive taxes here to deindustrialize us. That's how we were being conquered. The globalists admit that. Cloward and Piven and beyond. Look it up. But Trump said if your property taxes is above $10,000 a year per property, then you can't write it off on the income tax anymore. Because what Democrats do in bills they passed under Bill Clinton was that Democrats have triple the money in Congress than Republicans. I mean, they're the big, rich, elite party, okay? They're the ones that exempt themselves while they class warfare all day with like Bernie Sanders. I drive a $100,000 Audi, 6 houses. My wife takes over and takes over solvent colleges. Soaks them dry. It's what Bolsheviks do. Hey, you're lucky I don't line your ass up. And if we get a chance, we're taking over because I got an inferiority complex and I got a big hard on for America. And I'm going to be somebody like we did to Russia. Sorry. I'm Bolshevik trained. Anyways. Property taxes. In blue states, it's true. They have the highest property values. That's not even a good thing. Where a penthouse is $80 million in New York or whatever, that drives up the price of a single dwelling home. So now Bezos is starting these coffin apartments that are 200 square feet that cost you 5 times what regular square feet were. You're going to live in a coffin apartment so they can inflate the cost of a 3-bedroom condo to $10 million and then exempt it and not pay taxes. And then they just put it into real estate and keep Ponziing that up. You understand? So it goes to Democrat cities that jack up the property taxes, like Austin, the highest in Texas. They keep the money, run scams, pay off their family. It's a well-known Democrat scam. They then write it all off and pay no income taxes. That's why you wonder, like, why do these Democrats, or John McCain's basically a Democrat, he runs the same anti-American scam. I remember reading, like, John McCain has 14 houses worth over $100 million. And you ask, why is he doing that? Because they're in all these different states, and he's writing them all off to not pay income tax. Do you understand that? These assholes don't pay taxes. The elite don't pay taxes, is why they're pissed at Trump. And so, yes, my house, I pay more than $10,000 a year. And you know what? I am happy to pay that because I'm not rich, but I am wealthy compared to the average person. And I, overall, have had my tax accountants look at this. And under the Donald John Trump plan, I end up paying about 1% more tax than I did under Obama. It's incredible. The whole thing brings back ultra-rich money, brings back the factories, brings back the trillions, and actually raises taxes on upper middle class, wealthy, and then the ultra-rich. Got rid of their exemptions, and that's why the ultra-rich that own Hollywood and Disney and the corporate media want him dead. Because his dad was a blue-collar guy from nothing, from Germany, who fought the mob, the corrupt groups, all of it, and built an empire. And they're blue collar, folks. They eat burnt steak with ketchup, okay? And that's what this is all about, is Donald Trump hates the establishment. He hates big banks. They don't take it from big globalist banks. He's been fighting them his whole life, and he loves what's happening. And that, his dad was one of the biggest contributors to the John Birch Society. That is deep info that I even talked to some of the folks about. They didn't want to get into it, but people knew Trump's dad well. And he was a closet patriot the whole time, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what Donald Trump is. This is a patriot sleeper cell. Is he putting some globalists in to get things done? That's all there is. You're in the swamp. Yes. Has he gone sideways on a few issues like vaccines and things? Hell yeah. Is there some other? He can't run it all. They're in mutiny. They brag. They ignore almost everything he wants to do. But I can't believe how much the president has gotten done. So I'm going to tell you again. I personally am going to end up paying more taxes. My tax rate got cut by 2% in one bracket, but then it went way up on property taxes. And you know what it's going to do? It's going to make the city of Austin, how fast you think the leftist, just like New York, just like Chicago, just like San Francisco, just like LA, how fast do you think they're going to lower property taxes now? How fast? They swindle that money, folks. They're going to lower that property tax so damn fast, it's going to make your head spin. And then you're going to see property prices go down in ultra-valued luxury. Notice luxury is up 7,000%. the last 20 years. The average home is up some, but not that much. It's all crap. It's not helping anybody. Okay? The giant inflation, I was looking in Colorado to take my family and just get adjoining 2 rooms, suites, and not even the fanciest resorts. And guess how much the normal rooms were a night? Because it's all Democrats. $10,000 for adjoining rooms with two queen-size beds in each one. Then I looked at renting my own bungalow that I know I rented similar ones for maybe $1,500 a night 6, 7, 8 years ago. They were $15,000 before tax. The ultra rich have been tax exempt. They've gotten tens of trillions out of the banker bailouts that Obama and Bush did. They've raped everything, people. And all Trump is literally trying to do is give you some of your money back to kick the main economy, because he's always been a service economy guy. He makes money when everybody's doing well. At his casinos, at his restaurants, at his condos, at his hotels, at his golf courses. This is the philosophy of a rising tide raises all ships, as JFK said when he cut taxes by 50%. Well, Trump cut them for the middle class by about 50% as well. So this is a big, big deal, ladies and gentlemen. That's why they want his ass dead, and they're pissed. Even though Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan at the top made record profits this year, it was off an expanding system where everybody started making more money. They want only them to make money so they can buy everything up, and they admit that's their plan. I'm going to let you gentlemen get back to your wives, your ladies. I appreciate the viewers and the listeners. We got one more story up on DrudgeReport.com. That's from ZeroHedge.com. It was reposted at Infowars.com. That's what Drudge linked to. DHS announces program to illegally scan Americans' faces. And as much as I like Trump, he's a big law and order guy where he can get a little skilted sometimes, because I don't think Trump's even behind this. This was something they were trying 2 years ago, as everybody knows. We need to draw attention to this. They bring in the Islamics. They don't vet them. Finally, from 7 countries where they issue passports from the madrasas. The imams issue the passports from like Sudan and Somalia and all these other failed states, like Libya, that the globalists funded taking down. They are now sending all these folks. So instead of profiling or doing that, I mean, why do we have checkpoints? Why do we have body scanners? It's for Islamicists. Okay, not all the Muslims, but the radical ones that are always blowing each other up, and they just put diversity barriers up in Germany and France because everybody getting run over, and all the daily Somali stabbings that are going on, and the media tries to cover it up. We don't need to start retina scanning people. If a country doesn't have a reciprocal system to check passports, like Japan and Germany, everybody else does with us, if they don't have it, then don't let people in from it. It's real simple. I mean, I'm thinking about going to Russia because the media's made such a big deal about it and demonized me and claims I'm this Russian agent. That'd be a good publicity stunt. I want to go to Israel, too. They claim I work for Israel. It's all this made-up crap because I don't want to blow up Israel or blow up Russia. You know, all these special interests hate me. I wasn't against the Vatican until this new pope took over. He's a total globalist, so the Vatican's been captured by globalists, and now I'm exposing the Vatican. But if you look at this, I mean, I have to put in the visas. We just put them in last week. It may take a few months to get it, and they may not even give them to us. I mean, I don't just go to Russia. I mean, it's just I don't just go to Mexico. When you get to Mexico, you fill out a form, and it says where you're staying and when you're coming back. And if you decide to stay a few extra days, you get a phone call, and they say and they try to fine you when you leave. And I'm not saying that's perfect to do. The point is that we've got borders for a reason. We got jails for reasons, and you get rid of that, civilization's gone. Is the police state bad? Absolutely. Is there a bad side to it? Absolutely. But retina scanning is what Bezos and the globalists want for you to be able to buy and sell and to track everything you do, and then finally get rid of cash and get rid of any underground economy, which then the technocrats really want to use to take full control of society. And I know Trump's pushing to not get rid of cash. The Japanese love cash. They're smart. They don't want to get rid of it. We should keep cash. But this is all about getting rid of cash. DHS announces program to illegally scan Americans' faces. While biometrics only at certain major airports right now, full implementation of these scanners could cost Americans up to $1 billion. Forget the cost. People like Chertoff, that owns part of the naked body machines that they admit is a total fraud. What about them, again, this database they get to then use that they share with the corporations, which we know is now going on.
I'm going to promote it, Alex, to quicking. It'll be a faster wait in line.
Oh, of course. First they get you to fast check and train you. Then to be the fast check, you've got to do it. Exactly. All because they bring in a group that is untenable with our society, use that threat to then say all of us lose our rights. Good point, McBrain. Jump in anytime you want. In fact, we're going to have more mics in here soon. Both Congress and the Department of Homeland Security have never justified the biometric scanners at airports that could cost Americans $1 billion in 2018 alone. As TSA agents continue to prove their incompetence in the war on terror, the Department of Homeland Security is now allocating $1 billion in taxpayer funding to create a facial recognition program. Folks, they already have the database, and then they use that as the national ID. And it just goes on and on. Read the full report. It's on drudgereport.com. It's on newswars.com. It's from Zero Hedge. And that's basically it. I got a lot of other articles, but I'm going to let these guys get on with their ladies. And just want to point out that people out there that are attacking Trump, he is a libertarian with kind of a strongman streak, I'll admit. The globalists are scared of him, and they don't like him for the same reason they don't like Putin. He's not destroying the national interest. He's not out to get the average person. He doesn't like globalists rigging things. Again, he's not committing treason against the country. But they're trying to take him out, and they are pissed. And I just feel sorry for the people that are so brain dead and so brainwashed that they actually run up to me and go, F you, Russian spy, you're going to prison. And I go, really? You really think I'm a Russian spy? And they go, yeah, you're going to prison. And I'm like, it's the Democrats that when the Russians were communist and had basically been taken over by the Democrats, that's who set up Russia. It was the U.S. and the U.S. left and the British left got together and put in hundreds of millions of dollars at that time, which was billions. And the left went in there and they took over Russia. And they want it here. That's the war on Christmas. It's the war on flyover country. It's they say, oh, there's not a war on Christmas, but it's racist. The Southern Poverty Law Center said, if you say Merry Christmas, and we're going to call you a racist. I mean, what a bunch of scum, man. What a bunch of dirty social engineering, not even communist. They're just like the people that funded the Bolsheviks. They're Goldman Sachs predecessor funded the Bolshevik Revolution. You can look that up. I mean, it's incredible. The hard-on that people like George Soros, the Nazi collaborator. Oh, that's another thing. They've run like 5 more articles I saw this week without even looking, where they're saying, I'm insane. George Soros wasn't a Nazi collaborator, and it's anti-Semitic to say he was when he gave a 60 Minutes interview admitting it, and he wrote a book admitting it. I mean, that's their PR facelifts now, folks. But it isn't working. Hillary lost. The globalists are losing. You're winning. Again, closing out tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m., we've got exclusive news, just like we gave you the exclusive Joe Arpaio pardon before it was announced and it was admitted that we got in front of the president, and just like we broke countless other stories about what was going to, about how Al Franken was going to have that accuser. And they said, oh, my God, Roger Stone's behind it. No, he talked to his Fox News source. And they said, yeah, it's breaking tomorrow. You go ahead and leak it just because they're, were mad at Fox News or whatever because they got the scoop and Fox News wouldn't let them have it. People are like, God, how do you keep knowing all this? Because we have sources. We've got some disturbing news, though, about just like they sold McCabe to replace Comey. And it turned out Andrew McCabe was running the whole fake dossier deal with the people under him. And Trump got told, oh, here's a reasonable good guy, sir. That's who Rosenstein told him to get, who, again, is involved with the Clintons and the uranium one. They're covering their ass. It's the same thing. They've got a new guy they're recommending for a big shakeup at a key position in the White House. Is it Tillerson? Is it Kelly? I mean, we have this directly. And I'm not going to give it to you till tomorrow, and a lot more with big guests, 4 to 6 p.m. Central. And we'll be in the big studio, simulcast on radio and TV. But again, it's critical. They're hoping with their bots blocking us and everything, or having bots attack you, and call you names when you spread our videos. Just know most of those are bots. They got whole threat fusion centers politically that do it. Then they have shows like Homeland where they claim I'm doing it, where I have huge bases with hundreds of people putting out fake news. They do that to us. You can hand share this live feed as soon as it's over. You can tell people about the show tomorrow. And I know you've been doing that, but the war just started. This big first battle, is these cheesy Star Wars analogies like Rogue One getting the Death Star codes. Now we got to blow up the Death Star. Okay? And that's 2018. In 2017, we stole the Death Star codes. 2018, we blow up the Death Star. All right? So I appreciate Darren McBreen and Marcos Morales coming in. And I want to wish you all a happy New Year coming up. I'm going to Rob Do with his family celebrate New Year's with me and my children. All 4 of my children. The media says I don't have my children. It's another fake news lie. So we'll be sharing New Year's together with live feeds around the fire. The Christmas tree's still up at my parents' house. So we're going to be over there. I think you have some broadcasts from the hot tub tomorrow night. So look for that. Infowars.com/show. We are winning. We are libertarians. We are patriots. We're every race, every color, every creed. We are standing against the bullies and the media control. We are winning. So I salute you all. Pray for peace on the Korean Peninsula. Pray for President Trump. Please pray for InfoWars. And please support us, Infowars.com and InfoWarsStore.com. Free shipping still store-wide. 50% off all our best-selling items, but it's going to have to end on the second day of the year, so take advantage of those. Thank you for your support. We got some amazing products that you owe it to yourself to get, like Brain Force and InfoWarsStore.com.